unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, nestled in the heart of Idaho's mountain wilderness, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Discover the difference in their premium beans, meticulously roasted to capture the essence of the mountains. Now, listeners of our podcast can get an exclusive 10% discount. Just use the promo code CREATIVITY at checkout. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Well, welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity. And when I say world, we've been traveling around the world for, this is our 6th year now, to all the creative capitals of the world, talking to musicians, singer-songwriters, also artists, designers, architects, restaurateurs, anybody who's in the creative business and wants to think more creatively, break outside their box and try on some new things. And today we're going to explore the world of music and this combination, this overlap of artistic and the business side of the industry. And I'm so happy to have as my guest, Carter Fox. Carter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Very honored to be here.
We're stamping our creative passport in Philadelphia today. And it's great we're talking about music because, as I was telling you, Carter, I feel like Philadelphia is the cradle of some of the great music.
It really is, right? Going back over the past history of recorded music, you got Philly International in the 70s and the 60s. You got the 80s and 90s with Rough House Records and Cypress Hill. Even today, right? We got Benny X and working on Dying Crew, who produced so many hip hop and R&B and more than that. We got Grammy winners in this year's Grammys too.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic. Carter has earned the moniker the Soulful Traveling Spaceman, Bassman, and he's written a whole series of great books. The one we'll talk about today is the YouTube Google Ads Rockstar approach. But the whole idea is how you can actually make a living making music. And that's what we want to talk about. We got to dial it back a little bit, Carter, because your career certainly bridges both the artistic and the business sides of the industry. When did you first realize the importance of, I guess I'll call it marketing, really, for independent musicians?
It's going to take me back 20 years now, if you can believe it, when I was 14. So I'm maybe not too far. But like when I was in high school, or as I'm getting into high school, I'm starting to play bass more seriously. I'm playing a lot of music. I'm actually thinking, I'm going to do this for a career. I want to put out music myself. I'm starting to research, how do I get my stuff on iTunes? And back in the mid 2000s, that's a big deal, right? Unless you were signed on a label, your music isn't on iTunes. And that's the main important thing back then. And I realized, hey, I want to do this. I need to get out there. I need to take this learning of what I'm doing and just apply it to myself. So when I was 15 years old, I recorded a record on my own with the help of some friends and in my high school, and I released it on my own. I formed a little record company out of my bedroom. I set up a little desk. I set up a little old laptop from 1998 that my dad gave me that had a word processor on it and an old golf simulator game. And I was just writing some marketing plans and strategies of who do I got to do? Who do I got to get out there? Who do I got to email, book shows, do all this? I really just became a self-run entrepreneur at 15 with a record label, a management company, a booking agency in the local area, right? I was in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and everyone in my high school who was making music, who I was like, this is great. There's a lot of talented people. There's a lot of talented people who came out of when I was in high school, same era. There's not name dropping, but like Roses, who had a platinum record with her song Roses with the Chainsmokers a couple of years ago. Her older brothers were in a band, and we shared connections, and I started managing them as well. And it was really just being the guy who knew stuff. And it was right when the internet started being more accessible for everyone. You know, it was cheaper. Dial-up was maybe going away, was on the cusp of that. And I said, I'm going to do this, and I need to figure out how people make money. And I bought a book on how the music business worked, and I started running music businesses. And my parents were like, hey, go to college for this too.
Yes.
Drexel University has a great music business program, so just continued to instill that. And the importance of how do you make yourself stand out was always from the get-go. Right? Yes. Even as a 15-year-old bass player trying to do jazz music, it was like, okay, how do I get to the business side? How do I get other agencies and festivals to notice? But how do I get fans and radio and all that to notice as well? And which one is the, chicken and the egg, which one comes first, which one you need to focus on, how does one lead to the other? And so much has changed in the last 15, 20 years with all that, but also stayed exactly the same of importance, right? Reaching
Yes.
fans, creative demand.
And over that time, I know you've seen some winning strategies and some big mistakes. What are some of those pitfalls that you say, they were just so close? If they would have only, what do you tell musicians how to overcome some of those obstacles?
Sometimes the greatest thing that I've noticed in the last 20 years for myself is artists can get in their own way, one way or another. And that's on purpose or not on purpose. But sometimes as a business person, a manager, a sideman, or the artist yourself, you got to remember that, remind yourself, hey, don't stand in your way. And by that, you may want to be performing a lot more, but you're hesitant because you think your show isn't good. You just don't have the stage confidence. You don't think you'll look great, but you honestly got to push through that, get out there performing. 1, you'll become more comfortable. 2, you get better. 3, you make connections and actually start meeting more fans and get into the community that way. Just staying with that too, getting out of your own way right now. So that was maybe 20 years ago when everyone's doing things, trying to book everywhere, do everything. It's shifted post-COVID, even with COVID, but we see a lot of promotion and strategy and breakthrough with social media.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pushback from artists being like, I don't want to be a content creator, right? They don't want to put that hat on and call themselves a content creator. They want to make the music and they want to focus on that and then book the shows and do all this and get the millions of Spotify streams and get synced in movies and commercials and do all this kind of stuff, which is the lifeblood of making a career, right? In the end of the day.
Right.
But getting out of your way of saying, hey, you know what? Have fun with it. Hey, play music and share that. Hey, there's a bigger goal. It's the same goal as getting over your stage fright, if you will, or shyness. You're reaching fans, you're reaching audiences, you're reaching listeners, you're reaching people who will book you, you're reaching people who will collaborate with you, you're reaching people who could love your song, tell their father, tell their mother, their uncle, their cousin who works in something, and all of a sudden your song is the official song for Lexus, their new ad campaign,
Yes.
just through some social virility because you got out of the way and let yourself have fun. But that kind of gets back into your strategy then. Like what is that fun? What are you going to use? How are you going to translate your artistry into any of this, into your show, into social media, into any of your publicity avenues? What's your press release say about you? What is the solo traveling spaceman, Bassman? When you go, what is that? Like when you go on social media, you see all my music and my artwork and my different things is literally connected to space. And my content is playing music, but also talking about space things like a lunar eclipse happening or some other astronomical event coming up that's connected or different kinds of stuff like that. But that allows me personally in my own strategy to get out of the way of saying, I don't like the way I look when I record and I play bass.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way my body.
When you're getting into this idea, the power of branding, I remember talking about the history of the podcast here, but I remember one of my earliest guests was Jude Warren, the author who'd written a book about America, and she called them logo bands, that you can see the logo on the drum. It's Steve Miller, it's Chicago, it's the people that had the America, that had the logo, and you knew it immediately. But you're really talking about all the landscape of the artist branding. What are some of the key elements that you see in a strong artist brand?
So there's a good identity, if you will. Like you just said, the one part, right? There's a logo. There's something that really just ties it together very quickly and strongly. There is an overarching like color strategy and theme. The one artist I've been bringing up recently who's done super well with this kind of stuff is Doichi, who just won a couple Grammys as well. But like her album rollout just became this beautiful connection across everything. The way visual part aside, but like her visual aesthetic, her voicing, this is another aspect, the voicing, the way you communicate on social, if you will, or your email, or how you talk to your audience while you're at a show, all should be a similar kind of thing, right? Like you shouldn't be one way. You can, if there's individuals differences, of course, you can switch things, but you shouldn't be one way on social saying one thing and then at your concerts, you're blasting something completely different out of nowhere. And it just creates that misalignment and that trust. There's like, they say trust in brand, but artist trust is that, hey, you're creating this kinship, right? And if you break that kinship, then you lose your fandom and your community. And that's your longevity as well, right? There's the financial longevity. How do you set yourself up in the business to collect royalties and understand those nuances? But then the literal side of creating fans and listeners, and 1,000 true fans could support you for life if you're able to sell them $50.
That's a really
Stuff every
good point.
right?
Yes.
Just
And
a
we often think about the artist as this individual. I wanted to think about collaboration here for a second. You've toured with legends, Freddie Jackson for one, but you've collaborated with major artists of all kinds and learned a lot, I'm sure, for those experiences. But how does this idea of collaboration, instead of just saying you're the lone player on the stool in the club, that you've got to bring all the other players in the business, music and otherwise, along with you?
Collaboration is key, and communication is key. The collaboration is key. Success is a team sport, right? I have a bandmate of mine and a collaborator is a bandmate of mine who plays with Freddie Jackson and Regina Belle and a bunch of these other artists with mine, but he also plays on basically every song that I want him to play on. All of my music. He's featured on a lot of my music because he's my brother, like my musical brother, and I love him, and we've known each other for a long time. But collaboration in that front just opens up new musical scapes, right? It does open up that aspect. And then maybe the networks of collaboration as well, right? Outside of just creating music itself, the business side. Hey, this guy knows an agent. The agent wants to talk to you. They bring in a new opportunity for you. The agent, the label. There's so many different connections that we do all have in different ways just because artists have been working all different kind of ways. Some have been focusing on syncs and writing and being a production side and developing all those connections, which is an entire realm of being in the music business. Some have been really focusing on live music and touring and creating a whole network of promoters and venues and festivals. And that drives a whole nother avenue of income and collaboration and promotion. Some have done a lot of the marketing side and know how to use digital strategy and really get streams and notices on your digital fronts, YouTube and all this different stuff, which is just as important as well, just like radio. And again, it's that full 360 kind of avenue to find promotion avenue of your music that helps you reach as many listeners as you can. And then it's that little brand connection growing on the rest of it, your email list, your social media, your website. How do you connect with your fans? Are you giving away free music? Are you showing behind the scenes kind of stuff? And again, getting back into the collaboration, I'm not a video person. I don't create video very well or edit video that I like to do it, but I've seen a lot of more talented people create a lot cooler things. And they love the music and they want to work with you. And they would, even if it's a business transaction. So even if you got to pay them $500, $1,000, some people charge a lot more when they have the credentials and the skills. And depending on what you're asking, $10,000 for a completely graphic music video, like computer generated, visually done. It's not unheard of for the sake of creating content. But there's other ways to do that. And that's not as expensive. We could go there, but people make me
it's all good. You're taking us, and we talked about the changing world of the music business, but building a sustainable career across all these digital changes and platforms, streaming, social media, evolving technology, constant change. What have you seen as some effective strategies for today? If you're an independent artist, you say, I'm looking ahead. I'm trying to build for the long term. Yes, I may go quote unquote viral, but I'm looking for a breakout and I'm looking to build a career in this. What do you see?
So it's using your skills to create opportunities and being prepared, right? Luck equals preparation and opportunity. So if you're setting a goal at first, like one, do you want to be a pop? That's I think the most important thing, like being honest with yourself and figuring out your musical goal overall as you're creating this, as you're mapping out, if you will, this career to create a strategy for it. Songwriter, do you want syncs? Do you want to be a touring band? All this kind of stuff. Do you want to do it all? And then you prepare, if you will. You're writing a bunch of songs, you're recording, you're getting your music in a way, but you still have to be open and adaptable, right? Some stuff has stayed exactly the same. At the root of being successful in the business is being a great musician, being a talented artist, being driven to work on your skills and improve those talents and collaborate and work with others. But you need to get into those places to do it. And that's where I see the artists and any one of those little niches, right? A producer or a songwriter trying to find success and creating that success. It used to be way more difficult because you'd have to create that virility, right? That attention. You go watch Frankie Valli's musical, and they talk about go knocking on all the doors, right? Like,
Yes.
people don't do that anymore. And then it was finding emails in the 90s and the 2000s. It was getting a hold of the A&R person's email and address, right? Sending in the packages for many years, but like having an actual connection, maybe blindly, but it's still like the lawyer. That's growing up in the 2000s when I'm trying to break into the industry. Everyone's get a lawyer, get an entertainment lawyer, because they know everybody on all sides, because they do work with everybody. And that's still true today. That's not the thing here, but again, just using a way to stay ahead with what's going on. And so work on your craft, preparing, being ready to go into studios, getting into studios in your local community, being involved in your local community, but not ignoring the bigger stuff too. So you're working on your skills, you're building at your grassroots level, your local community, the show. If you're trying to do local shows, you're working on them to level up, but you still don't ignore social media. You don't ignore that avenue of discovery, because it's just gonna hurt you. I'm not saying don't put your music on Spotify and just focus on Bandcamp and send everyone to Bandcamp, because that's another side of the discussion. But don't ignore where people are finding music.
That's right.
Right. And that's the big thing that anyone over time that I've noticed who's find success has done it. And it's just putting yourself there. And that's either being in the areas of opportunity, LA, right? Moving out to Los Angeles, Nashville, New York, Atlanta, getting into the circles in Philly where they happen. And then it's also going viral, because if you're able to use social media, not necessarily to go viral, but to create that presence of discovery. We say going viral, but the real idea is your content is actually getting just viewed more and engaged more and more by people who actually like it and want to be part of your community.
Yeah, I love this phrase that you're using, presence for discovery, that you're putting yourself out there to be discovered. So, and we're talking about promoting the work. So I want to drill down specifically to this book, and you've got a whole series which we'll touch on, but specifically the YouTube, Google Ads, Rockstar approach. What do you do? Let's get really specific. Somebody's listening to the podcast right now and says, I got to walk away here with 3 points. What should I do?
That's a great thing to do. And luckily, you're right. The book does put it right into a few points. And so does most of the books in the series, especially the Rockstar guide. So I have them for Instagram, TikTok, and I think Facebook ads. Again, these are all the good discovery networks. These are where people are listening, if you will. They're hearing Doichi's little viral moment, or they're hearing that new old Coldplay or Rolling Stones clip, right? Like, how many older artists have been rediscovered? But to answer the question, right? So the first thing you want to do is understand what you're doing, what it is, what the purpose of the platform is. So we're talking about the YouTube ads. So mastering the YouTube/Google ads, because Google owns YouTube algorithm, and YouTube being the video front of it, but you can also run Google ads for your music. It is targetable. Which is actually getting into part 2, which is targeting our right audience. So once part 1, master the platform, master the algorithm. There's a lot of tutorials online. Google has its own, hey, this is how YouTube works. And honestly, they've made it very simple for promoting your music, promoting your YouTube channel now. They've actually simplified it down. You can still customize audience and targeting and some negative keywords and stuff, but it's important to know what you're doing so you can make it work, right? Then number 2, once you know what you're doing, you can target the right audience. So using listener data from Spotify or Bandcamp, or maybe your Instagram, whoever is already successful, or your YouTube channel already, who's already listening to you and who's already following you. Is it the people that you necessarily also want, right? You want to reinforce your fans, but maybe you are targeting, your audience may be skewing a certain way you're not expecting or you don't want, or for some legacy artists, for example, not necessarily independent, but as a legacy artist gets older, so does their fan base. You also want to make sure they're getting new fans, younger fans, right? Like, you may see a lot of older current interactions, but you want to target 18 to 25-year-olds with stuff, right? Just as an example. So you're targeting the right audience, targeting on Google ads, maybe like the Rolling Stone website, stuff like that, people who interact with certain things. And then you want to optimize whatever your channel is, right? Your YouTube channel in this instance, but maybe your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your TikTok page. You just want to make sure when people come to, or optimize whatever you're sending people to, right? So if you're coming to the YouTube channel page, is it organized? Is it showing your new music, live videos? Is it getting people to subscribe? Is the link kind of sending people to automatically subscribe? There's a way you can code it so people come to the page if they're logged in, it follows you automatically. on YouTube. Again, in that part one, as you're learning how the platform works and is working, you can learn all that as well. And then, yeah, if you're sending people just the last part to a page, for example, if you're sending them to your Spotify, or hopefully a better strategy is sending them to a landing page with tracking data, right? A pixel or your conversion API. You send people to that page, your website, or this landing page, and they listen to you, but they can also be engaged later with a retargeting ad to get them on the email list, give them a discount for merch. Again, you're creating this holistic marketing strategy that creates a community for yourself. So like just in real world example, right? I know how to use the YouTube ad. I put a video up. I make a video of my band playing music, and I send you to my website with a landing page that's tracked, so you can find the live version of the song on all Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to music. And then you do that. And once you've clicked it, because I had the tracking on and you went and you listened, 1, thank you for the stream. 2, I'll retarget you on Google when you're Googling around, or Facebook or TikTok, and you'll get a 10% discount for my merch or something exclusive and special for you for doing that. So that's how all these other artists that you see and love, and a lot of these other people are approaching you, and businesses,
Yes.
right? That's how they follow you across.
This is how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
hopefully that was a good answer for someone listening.
Exactly. I think it is. And let's say we want to know more, Carter. You've given us so many. I want to ask you more about your music. But before we go off this topic, how do we find you, learn more about some of these business ideas and the work that you're doing here?
Yeah, so you can visit me at carterfoxconsulting.com, and on there is my business website for working marketing strategy, brand strategy, help with music business related services, getting your PRO set up, working with brands, podcasts, everyone to do this digital and marketing strategy. On that page or on the website, you can also find the books, and they're also all available on Amazon. So the Music Business Basics series, basics with 2 S's, BASICS, because I hate SEO, but I love being cheeky. No,
It's so good. Yeah, why would you misspell it? No,
because I'm a bass player.
I love that.
It has to be that way.
I think that's where I wanted to go next, Carter, because we've been talking about the business side, and listeners, if you're writing down these 3 tips and stuff, and you say, what does this guy know about the music business? And you're only listening on audio and you're not seeing the video with the guy who has the actual records on the wall and the awards and the recognition. He knows what he's talking about. But Carter, I wanted to talk about your musical ventures right now. What else are you working on with your actual bass? I'm working on the boards and all that collaboration we talked about before.
Yeah, so I just got off the road with Freddie Jackson and Regina Belle, so I'm performing with both legends of R&B. I'll be performing with them more throughout the year. It's a true honor because we played A Whole New World from Aladdin, which I grew up
So good.
watching, and she's singing. Her and Peebo Bryson, who I've had the honor of seeing perform and sharing the stage with on occasion with Freddie. A lot of the people I have gotten to perform or watched on the side stage, or we've shared these stages with, I grew up learning to play their music. Jeffrey Osborne and Sly Stone and Tower of Power. Like, these are the people I literally was listening to the tapes and like sitting in a room just getting good. But right now, so we're done that, working with a band called Jatan, who we just released a brand new album called The Art of Breaking Through Shadows, with music impacting on radio. And naturally, I help do all of the marketing strategy and stuff behind that, which has been always fun. And I get to do that for Freddie a lot as well, which is right now. I'm also releasing singles from my own album that I have coming up. I actually have a new one coming out on March 8th, which is my mother's birthday. That's why I'm super stoked. It's called A New Hope Beyond the Horizon. Right now, we all could use just whatever positivity and just general, like wherever we're feeling, just keep yourself feeling good. And that's, my mom always tells me the universe will work out. So this one's dedicated to her, love her. And she doesn't know it yet, unless she's like reading any of my stuff, which she'll get my email on Saturday and open it and be like, oh my gosh. But right now I'm keeping it as a strategy, right, on the DL.
Yes.
And that album's called Physics of the Impossible. Again, get into my branding, right? It's named after a Michio Kaku book, which he's a very famous physicist, writes a lot of books like Neil deGrasse Tyson as well, but it's named after his book. And I've been dropping a bunch of singles over the last year from it. I'm excited for that to come out this summer. I've just been working on tons of new music just for recording and getting out there. I'm getting ready to perform a few shows as well with Carter Fox's music, the stuff that's hanging on the wall.
Yes. Good
Always
luck
fun
with
to-
all those songs. It sounds like so much fun. I've been talking with Carter Fox, the soulful traveling spaceman, bassman. And now I'm seeing how the Spaceman connects to not only the music, but the brand and the promotion. You've tied it all together. I appreciate the insights, Carter. Been great talking to you.
Absolutely, Mark. It's been honestly a great conversation. It's been a lot of
Oh,
fun.
can't wait to get out to Philadelphia again. You'll have to show me all the hot spots where all the new music is coming from. Love to catch live music wherever I go.
Absolutely. We got great live music here, so you're more than welcome.
Sounds good. Listeners, thanks to Carter for all these insights. And also, while we're here, wanted to thank our sponsor, White Cloud Coffee Roasters. You can get a 10% discount when you use the code CREATIVITY at checkout. So check out all their blends, single origins, all the great coffee at whitecloudcoffee.com. And of course, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. We've been talking about the business of music, but you know what? The business of podcasts goes on as well. And we need your ratings and reviews and subscriptions to keep our program growing. It not only helps us grow the podcast, but it helps us attract more and more guests like Carter so we can learn more and we can create more. And that's what our podcast is all about. So come back again next time. We'll continue our around the world journeys. We're going to Australia. We're going to Italy. We'll go all around the States, LA and New York, to talk to creative practitioners about how they get inspired, how they organize ideas and promote them, and most of all, how we get the confidence and the connections that we need to launch our work out into the world. So until next time, I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity. We'll see you next time.